Welcome again to Rising Stories Podcast. I have a new episode today. I'm Erin Sandifer, your host, and each week I invite you to listen as I chat with business owners and authors about the dynamics of building and running a business and how these writers became published authors. We also delve into topics that we can all relate to, such as work-life balance, living with intention, and dreaming big. As these women share their stories with us, it's my hope that you will be encouraged to live out your own story. So please spread the word and tell a friend about this podcast. Also, if you wouldn't mind heading over to iTunes and leaving me a review, hopefully a good one. And this is important because it helps others find this podcast. So I would love for you to go over and do a review and leave me some stars on iTunes. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Erin Sandifer on Instagram and on Twitter. My guest today is Erin Loechner. Erin has been blogging for more than a decade now and is also a designer whose work has been featured on HGTV in a 2-season web special. This former art director and stylist who now resides in the Midwest with her family talks about setting and keeping boundaries when it comes to her family and her business. Erin is also a writer, and her newest book, Chasing Slow, highlights her journey away from the fast and frenzy to a new lifestyle of less. Listen as Erin and I chat about family trips that she's taken to Singapore and Ecuador, and about cooking Brussels sprouts. She also talks about what it looks like to be a kind boss to yourself. Erin gives some great advice on that subject, and you don't want to miss it. Here's my conversation with Erin Loechner. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for coming on Rising Stories.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I was just telling you earlier, I'm totally enamored and in love with your not your podcast, it's my podcast, but your website is amazing. I love your website.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun to do, and it's kind of taken a lot of iterations over the past, so it's been nice.
Well, and part of what I love about it is just reading, and I'm sure you wrote all of this, right? Or did you have someone to help you write some of the things that are, about Erin and the real Erin bio? I just love that.
Yeah, it's just me. Yeah, it's a one-woman show.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. You're such a great writer. I can't wait to read your book. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm going to read that for sure. But it just,
Thank you.
Had no idea. I love your writing. It's a great read. I'm just going to spend hours just reading your website first and then go on to your book.
Thank you. Thank you. I've always been a writer. It's very therapeutic to me. The hard part isn't the writing, it's the publishing. For me, it's when you hit the publish and hit it out there.
Are you apprehensive of, are you afraid to publish some of the things, or are you just having to do it and get it out there? Just the logistics.
I think for me, it's a interesting balance, towing the line between my story and other people's story. And I'm ever mindful that I want to share my experience as motherhood, but I don't ever want to assume that I know what it's like as from a kid's standpoint. Do you know what I mean? I think it's really important to share the ups and downs of motherhood without sharing the ups and downs of mothering my children. Because that's really unfair. If I'm just, I think there's a fine line. I think there's a difference between potentially exploiting your children for material and trying to learn and connect with other mothers who are doing the same. So it's very tricky. So I think that's why I'm very private, very protective over their stories as well as ours together collectively.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. Yeah, I totally get that. I've been blogging, and I have older children, so I've been blogging and blogged a lot about my kids and their lives and things like that. And it is a very fine line because they have their own lives and they want to keep their own, I guess, anonymity if they want. And now my kids are older and they're like, why did you say that? Why did you publish that?
Yeah.
I'm kind of taking a little bit of what you said and kind of applying it in my life of what's happened. And so, so I can understand that. But tell me more about who you are. Tell everyone who you are and what you do and all
Yeah.
that exciting stuff because I can't wait.
Absolutely. So I am Erin. I grew up in the Midwest and moved to Los Angeles shortly after graduating college. I met my husband, Ken, in college, who was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so our newlywed years were very weighty. They were very, I think we both kind of tried to fill those voids and fill that distraction with work and with purpose and with meaning. And we ventured to Los Angeles and lived very fast lives. And then life brought us back here to the Midwest where we still lived very fast lives. And then until we sort of kind of began to intentionally slow down quite a bit and think about what were the priorities for our family, what mattered to us, and really carving our own path in that.
Mm-hmm. So how long were you in Los Angeles?
I think 7 years, perhaps. Much. It feels it. I can never. Yes, 7 years. And my husband's a film editor, so he, worked very long, very crazy hours. And then I was an art director, and that's essentially why Design for Mankind was founded. Is I just really needed an easy way to catalog design inspiration from my home computer to my work computer. This was pre-Pinterest, pre-Dropbox.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of file sharing available. And I'd always been a writer. I'd always been a journaler. So a blog just made the most sense. So I really, that was the beginning of Design for Mankind, was just a side work project that I needed to be able to communicate better with my clients.
Mm-hmm. And so tell me, what does Design for Mankind do? What do you do for your clients?
Well, so this was when I was an art director. And then through, I would say the next phase of the blog, eventually the blog became my full-time job fairly early on. And I would sell advertising in the sidebar and connect with other artists and graphic designers and, sell their work. I would curate galleries. My job used to very much be multifaceted, where the blog was kind of the hub for connecting to those people, to potential partnerships and things like that. And now I would say the blog has shifted more into, it's less of a hub and it's more just a spoke on the wheel. It's more just one thing that I do, which is writing and photographing little snippets of our lives. A lot of times we work with sponsors, so they will approach me to talk about marriage or, talk about their particular product. And then I weave those products into our daily lives. I work with sponsors that I use their product in my own life so mm-hmm. that it's a very easy, very organic fit. So I would say that the blog really began as more central to a lot of different hobbies and a lot of different things. And now it's more the main focus.
Mm-hmm. And so is it more of like a lifestyle blog, I guess, now that you're doing you have
yes,
products
that you're... Yes, I would say it's shifted more from an art design focus to now just more overall lifestyle and very personal. It's mm-hmm. no longer, I began sharing a lot of other people's work, and now I just kind of pop in when I write every day. I just don't publish every day. So now I just kind of pop in when I feel like a piece is ready to go live.
Mm-hmm. So you have other people that do guest blogging on it, and
I don't
just write things. Okay.
Nope, it's just me. Yeah, I've had guests in the past when it was more, I think there's been a shift where I used to I would still call myself a professional blogger. It just doesn't, I have not dedicated the bulk of my time to the blog. The bulk of my time is certainly home with my children. They're young.
Yeah.
And so, truly I work about 2 to 3 hours a day, in this season. Sometimes it goes up to 4, and that's kind of my max right now. So when I was a professional blogger, working 8 to 10-hour days, then yes, I would have guest content and I would be creating content for other people. And now it's just more, it's definitely taken a back seat to life at home.
Yeah, 2 to 3 hours is still, that's a lot for when you have little ones. How old are your children?
So I have a daughter who's 4.5 and a son who is 6.5 months.
Oh, wow. Just a baby.
Yeah.
You have babies.
Yes.
You have babies,
Tiny.
plural. But
Yes.
yeah, that 4.5, that's
Exactly.
such a sweet age, especially for a girl. I mean,
Oh gosh, yes.
I
They're the
call them the
best.
little twirling years, because they're just like, they're always doing fun things like twirling,
Yes. They live in
just,
their head. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
I love that
Yeah.
age. And just their little,
Yeah.
just walking. I mean, they just kind of flow into rooms. And, unlike
Mhm.
my boy, they would just, stomp into a room and versus my little girl would just twirl and, just kind of like a little butterfly.
Yes.
She had a fun,
Oh gosh, yes.
yeah.
I get it. Oh,
But
it's beautiful. So I do fit in all of my work before they wake up. So I'm generally up. If it's a heavy work day, I will hop out of bed at 2, 3, 4 a.m. And then if it's
oh,
a lighter,
wow.
I'm definitely always up by 4 a.m. every
Oh,
day.
wow. Um,
Yeah.
Gosh, you're an early riser. And so you work in the morning and then they get up and, you kind of are you a scheduled person? Like, do they have, obviously you somewhat are because you get up early and do all that, but do you schedule their day so that you can kind of, okay, we're going to take a nap now. See, I'd be wanting a nap if I was up at 2
Oh
or 3 in the
gosh.
morning.
Yeah. It's interesting. My husband works from home as well, and so we're very flexible. We're routine oriented, but not scheduled necessarily. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, right now life looks like me waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. So then I'm on the shift with the baby. He still doesn't sleep through the night, and so whoever's up, and Ken's a night owl, so he will be up from bedtime until 2 a.m. Then we switch off and pass the baton. So we kind of, there is space for me to take a nap if I needed it. I would, I'm sure Ken could cover for an hour or
Mm-hmm.
so, and vice versa. We try to allow a lot of margin so that we do get our rest. But I also go to bed very early, so it's not much of a sacrifice. I'm in bed just straight after the kids are.
Yeah. And is that how you wrote your book?
The writing of the book was far easier because I just had the one. I had B.
Okay.
And in that season, and I think that's the beauty of freelance, you can kind of shift
Mm-hmm.
per heavy workload and light. And so in that season, I was sneaking out of the house about 5:30 in the morning, going to a local coffee shop, writing there for about 3 hours, and then I would take a yoga break and head home.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would still kind of get in, being home by 10:30. I would still feel like I had the bulk of my time at home where I wanted to spend it, but it was a little easier than this particular juggle. But it's I'm also not writing a book right now, so it's a little bit of an easier workload too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing these days since you're not writing a book and you're just maintaining your blog and
Yes, maintaining the blog, and we're still in that heavy book promo stage. So I'll typically
yeah.
hop on one podcast a day in the afternoon, and I think that's it. I often travel for I wouldn't say often. I keep it to about once a month at the very most. But I'm traveling at, conferences and retreats and speaking and teaching classes and that kind of thing, which is really fun to connect with people on a more personal level.
Yeah, that's great that you get to do that. And what do you speak on when you're there? Tell me what some of the topics that you talk about.
I will speak on a lot of different things. I'm very passionate about a lot of different things. So, next week I'll be in California teaching a guided journaling retreat. Teaching people how to journal and how to tell the truth to themselves. And a couple weeks after that, I'll be speaking for a local group about slowing down your life. Mm-hmm. I have in the past spoken about entrepreneurship. I have spoken about motherhood. I have spoken about failure. You name it. I have probably spoken about those
wow.
topics.
Yeah. And of course your husband holds down the fort, so that's kind of fun. That's good that he has that flexibility. My husband works from home as well, but we have older kids, so it's not so crazy, but trying to get everything organized before I leave, town or whatever. So do you do you like traveling? Do you enjoy traveling?
I do. I really, truly love it. And we, as a family, travel fairly frequently as well. We love to be home, but we also really love to travel. So we take about one international trip a year, and we try to keep it. Yeah, we try to keep it not work related at all, which is sometimes a challenge, when work and life kind of spill over.
I know. Don't you find it's hard to put it down? I mean, there's always a little bit of, I guess because it's so accessible, because we're, our social media can be on our phones. It's really hard and you need your phone, a lot of times when you're traveling. So it's hard to just kind of put it down, right?
Yeah, we struggle with that less. We really do. I think I'm not sure why that is less of a struggle. I mean, I do understand the idea that the internet never sleeps, and so you could potentially be working all hours of the day and all hours of the night. Mm-hmm. I think for me, and Ken is very much the same way. We've always very much prioritized eye contact and in-person connection and meaningful connections. And that is just impossible with the phone at the table, mm-hmm. with the phone around. And so we are really very good about compartmentalizing that and just not letting it be the focus, certainly when we're with our kids and definitely when we're with each other as well. And I think when we travel, there's a lot of picture taking, there's a lot of mm-hmm. Of that for memory's sake. But then if we want to hop on and Instagram it, that's something that we do much later when the kids are in bed or, when we're sneaking away for like an introvert break or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Where was your last trip?
We went to, I went to India in the fall. That was a singular trip. And then our last family trip was in Ecuador that summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
We will go anywhere. We're not picky. We're just really interested in just seeing different cultures. And our next trip is in London in April.
Mm-hmm. How do you decide where you're going? Is it just what interests you, or how do y'all choose?
It's funny. So far, each trip has kind of been presented. Mm-hmm. And when we went to Ecuador, I had some friends who were running a wellness retreat that asked that I come. And so I just asked if my daughter and husband could join us, and certainly we would pay for that. But mm-hmm. It's generally there's a little bit of a work, but we taught some classes in Singapore the year before that. And so there was a little bit of a work element as well. Mm-hmm. In the London trip, we're just going to visit friends. And then I imagine our next trip will probably be our daughter's learning Chinese. And so we would love to kind of head over there and get immersed in that culture as well.
Oh, that would be awesome. We just hosted Chinese or an exchange student from China.
Oh, how wonderful. How
Yeah,
was that?
it was really, really amazing. Just seeing our culture from their eyes was very eye-opening to me. I mean, just and explaining he didn't know very much English. He didn't know English very well, speak it very well, but it got better as I think, or maybe he got more comfortable. So, but
Yeah.
just kind of telling, our lives are crazy, just what we've got a teenager and so he does sports. So a lot of times we're going to a sporting event, 2 times in a weekend or 2 times in a week. And those are the times that we're out and about. And so, I haven't packed a lunch or dinner. And so we just grabbed something. So I kind of felt bad for him because it seemed like we were always eating
Oh,
out, but we don't always, but it was just one of those weeks. And so, I just was like, oh, and they just have totally different, eating habits and what they eat. I think they eat a lot healthier than we do. And he ordered
oh
salad. We went to a
yes.
burger place. He ordered salad, which I was the one that ordered the burger. I just really felt like, oh no.
Uh,
but,
oh, that's lovely.
but it was great and, learned a lot about his culture, and I think he learned a lot about ours, and it was really it was a blessing, really huge blessing to
That's
have him.
lovely. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like you can learn so much that
Yeah.
way. You really can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm hoping he'll be back. It was a group of them through a program called Sister Cities. So they came and shadowed my student, my son, and stayed with us. So it was great. It was a
That is so
good
great.
experience.
Oh,
Yeah. And I kept saying,
sure.
you are so brave. Like I was trying to explain to
Yeah.
him because he knew no one. I mean,
hmm
across the ocean, across America to come to us and living, like he had no idea what he was getting himself into, and yet just
Yes.
stepped out and did that. So,
Oh, wow. What an adventure.
yeah, yeah. Well, Erin, tell me about when you're running your business, like what runs through your mind? Do you have like a goal, like when you're, obviously you have a message in your book. Is there some kind of message that carries you through your work days when you're doing your blog or working on future, you know, posts or things like that, or future books?
That's a really great question. I would say truth telling is a very big message for me. I think um, the good and the bad, being honest and trying to document as best I can. I think learning is really huge for me. I like writing about things that I most need to learn and things that I haven't quite gotten right. I definitely don't wait until I figured it out to write it out because the writing is the figuring out for me. So I would say learning is a huge theme in my work and part of the reason why I love this job so much. There have been seasons where I have had I remember when my daughter was first born and just the amount of brain space that took up. I think learning how to be a mother, the transition was very hard for me. And so I remember kind of taking a step back from the work that I was actually good at. I was good at the design work and I was good at curating, 10 artists under $100. And that was easy for me, but I no longer held that brain space to devote to it. It was almost as if my brain was saying, you need to focus and learn how to do this because you already know how to do that. And I just grew so much in that season. I really did. And so anytime that I'm doing my work online, I want to make sure that it's making me a better person offline. I never want it to just stay there and just let it be for blogging's sake. I want to be able to take something that I've written and that I'm learning and apply it offline as well. So that's also a pretty big theme for me.
That's great. And so you really do like lean in and press in to a lot of things.
I do. I mean, it would be a complete waste of time to do it otherwise. You know what I mean? If I think I was at a crossroads for a long time when I knew that we were going to have a family and that I wanted a family. And that was, okay, well, how do I figure out how to make both work? And how do I figure out to enjoy both of them? And the way, because those are very different things, I think, in making it work and also enjoying it. So for me to enjoy it, it's about pressing into that hard stuff and trying to see what it looks like on the other side and gaining a little perspective on the page. And not all of that is art. I don't think that is a requirement of blogging. I think that's just my requirement of blogging. I think that's just me being, a writer first, and all of that kind of emotional processing that happens when you open a blank document,
Yeah. Well, what, besides the morning that we talked about, we already know what you do in the morning. Take me from the morning to the end of the evening, a day in the life of Erin. What do you do?
Well, so in the afternoons, I will, whenever, basically the afternoon is any time my husband wakes up, and then I will switch off with the kids and he will take them. I'll go shower, because our mornings are very, very slow. We're generally not out of the house much unless we're kind of running to and fro or running an errand. And so in the afternoon, I will hop down. We have a little studio in our basement. I'll hop down and do usually just one podcast. And that's right now. That's in the very busy book promotional time. If I have any pressing emails that I haven't got to in the morning, then I will respond to those. Generally, I'm very much a slow emailer. I'm very much, I take my time to respond and I want to do it well. So that usually doesn't happen. And then we'll sometimes go on a play date, go on a walk, visit grandma. She lives 2 doors down. It's really very fluid and we do different things quite often, but we usually meet up for a family dinner about 6. And then I enjoy cooking. I'm not a good cook, but I enjoy it. So I will make dinner and have my glass of wine. And then that's sometimes my husband's on a conference call because by that time I have taken over with the kids again. So he'll be on a call and sometimes will join us a little later. And then it's the bedtime routine, the rigmarole that happens every night, which my husband's really good at. He usually manhandles most of that. And then I get to bed even earlier. It depends.
Yeah. I like to get to bed early too. I'm an early riser. Like I would say 5, sometimes 4, but mostly around 5. But gosh, sometimes by 9 o'clock, I just want to tuck myself into bed. So
absolutely.
I think I get my best sleep at around 10 or 11. If I can, so if I can get to bed early, I would put myself to bed at 7 and just get in my pajamas and get under the covers and do everything else that I need to do from my bed if I had my druthers. But duty calls, I'm up doing stuff and dishes, whatever. But
dishes, yes. I do my dishes in the morning. I don't mind if they're in the sink overnight. I just find that I have more energy in the morning and more patience in the morning. So I leave a lot of the chores for then. And I am definitely in bed between 7 and 8.
Yeah. Yeah. And your kids, of course, are in bed too. So that's nice. You can, do that. Do you read? Are you a reader yourself?
I am such a reader. Yes.
What are you reading?
In the night. I'm one of those people that have a couple books on their nightstand at all times. And then I haven't been able to get to them. I have just been very tired. And so I'll read a page and then I fall asleep. But a really interesting book right now that is very out of character for me to be reading. I'm generally like a memoir or like a poetry kind of reader. But there is, have you heard of A Really Good Day from Ayelet Wildman?
A Really Good Day? No.
Yeah, it's called A Really Good Day. I think it's called A Really Good Day. I think that's what it's called. But it's a mother of 4 who is experimenting with microdosing LSD as a mood enhancer. And she is very research based and has done her homework, and it's a lot about it's kind of a larger story about drug policies and how they came to be, what's safe, what's not safe, and what are we maybe mislabeling. But it's a fascinating story. She's a really great writer and researcher and thinker, and it's not what you would assume. I love that there's so much tension in the idea of a regular mom of 4 who is tired of being panicked and frenzied and anxious and nervous, and sought out an interesting solution. It's just
that sounds really good. I love memoirs. They're my favorite. I do too. I learned so much, and I guess that's why I love podcasts. I'm a big podcast fan myself, and so I think that's how I learn, like from other people's stories and their experiences.
That's exactly how I learn as well. Yes. Do you have a good memoir that you'd recommend?
Well, have you read Blood, Bones, and Butter?
No, but is that about the chef?
Yes.
Or no?
It's one of my favorite books.
Oh, I might have to check it out.
Yes, you've got it. It's Gabrielle Hamilton. And Gabrielle Hamilton, Blood, Bones, and Butter, The Inadvertent Education of a Reluctant Chef. And she travels. See, that's why, I love books where, like, I love Eat, Pray, Love was one of my favorite books where they travel. Because I don't travel that much. I mean, I love to travel, but I haven't had the opportunity lately to go abroad. So I just read about it.
Which is the next best thing. Yeah. It really is. Okay.
Yeah,
so you got to check that out. That sounds good.
It's really good. And I think she, I don't know if she has, I can't remember if she has it's been a while since I've read it, but she has recipes. I found it like at a tag sale the other day, and I was like, I'm picking this up because I'm just going to give it to a girlfriend whenever I see them, because I talk about it a lot, and I'm like, oh, it's such a great book. But I love, I love memoirs. I love biographies. But I too have like 3 or 4 books that that are on my nightstand ready for me to read. So I've got to get busy. And I'm in a book club, so like I'm not doing well, but I'm not doing well.
I know. I'm always hesitant to join a book club because I'm just, I never know what pace I'm going to be reading at. Sometimes I'm a voracious reader. If I'm traveling, alone for a conference or for work, then, I'll go through a book or 2 on the flights. But it is much harder to find the reading time in the daily rhythms.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that I have to not read when I'm traveling by plane. I have to not read while I'm in the terminal because I'll miss my flight.
Oh, yes.
I just tune everything out. And it's
get that.
I better not, because they won't be calling my name. So
yes.
Anyway. So what's the best advice that you were ever given in doing what you do?
Let's see. I think the best advice is to be a nice boss to yourself. I think it's really very easy to, if you've worked a 9 to 5, or if you, have had someone in a position of leadership over you and you're used to answering to someone else. It's very easy to kind of, if you're a very disciplined person or a very driven person, really work yourself to the bone. And the beauty of of this career, and I think of what a lot of modern careers are, is that they're still forming themselves. And there's no playbook, and there's no rule book, and you get what you give. But if you're burnt out, you don't have much to offer. So I think being a kind boss to yourself and understanding that you don't have to work all the time just because the internet is available. You can truly make it work for your life and shape it that way, rather than just doing what everybody else does. I think part of being a kind boss to yourself is putting on your blinders and getting to work and not worrying about what everybody else is doing at the time. That's a real recipe, I think, for disaster. It's when you're just trying to keep up, just go your own way and enjoy it, and let that be your definition of success, rather than, how much is in the tax return at the end of the year.
Being true to yourself. Yeah. And I love how you put it, just being a nice boss to yourself and being forgiving, because people that are somewhat perfectionists like I am, it's like, it's tough, because sometimes you're measuring yourself against yourself, and that's not always fair, and then you're measuring yourself against someone else, and that's not fair, but just, giving grace.
Yes. And allowing that. It's a steep learning curve. I mean, life in general is. And then I think if you add to it a career that you're trying to carve out yourself, there will be a lot of mistakes. And that's so okay. That's the first step to learning something new.
Yeah, that's great. So what are you enjoying these days in your life? What are some fun things that like for me, I was just telling my other guests that, so this is kind of repeating again, but I am so loving my acupuncturist. My acupuncture. I go to acupuncture and I love it. It has saved my sanity. Yeah.
I've heard such great things. Yeah. I went to an acupuncturist once, and it was a really interesting experience. I enjoyed it. It was never anything that I've carved out time for, but I think I could in the future for sure, because I did see a nice mood benefit, I think.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I like it.
That's interesting. I'm really enjoying winter walks. I'm not much of an outdoor girl, and I'm not much of a walker. And, but we've had a really mild winter here. And, my mom was a walker, and I have really fond memories of her. She was a school teacher, and she would go home in the evenings and, just walk around the block a bunch of times, and she would always invite us, and we would always say no, because we were watching TV or something. And I just love the ritual of that. I loved that it's right now I haven't made much room for exercise. I don't go to my yoga classes with the baby here at home. And so I just like the idea of incorporating the kids into that. And in the morning, we just kind of all bundle up and take a really long walk, and it's great for the toddler to burn energy, and then the baby goes to sleep, and it's a really nice, it's still quiet in the morning. I really, really enjoyed that time.
And where are you? You're in the Midwest. What state are you in?
In Indiana.
Indiana, yeah. So it's super cold. Like, have y'all had a mild winter? You probably have.
We have, yes, had a mild winter.
Too.
Yeah, it's generally pretty chilly in February, but I mean, today it was upwards of like 48, 49.
Oh, yeah.
So, almost 50. It's been really beautiful.
Walks are good. Yeah. That's seeing nature, and it's always refreshing too to get fresh air.
It is. We're always in a better mood afterwards. It doesn't ever sound fun to me in the morning, so I'm trying to make it more habitual. And I find that if I do it in the morning, it gets done. If I'll put it in the first thing, and then I just feel better the rest of the day. I really do.
Anything else that you're loving?
I am. I'm always loving a lot of different things. I'm loving So there's a Vaseline flavor that's rose. It's like a rose flavored lip tint, and it's Vaseline.
Is it in those
And
little round tube thing? The little round?
yeah, in like the retro looking tins.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, I
I
didn't
love
know
the
they put that
rose.
out.
It's lovely. Yes, I've been really enjoying that. In the winter, yeah, my skin is always super chapped, so it's been nice. I've been loving. One of my go-to meals is like a Brussels sprout and bacon recipe.
Oh, that
So
sounds
I've
good.
been loving it's so great. It's so easy. You literally chop up the bacon, chop up the Brussels sprouts, you throw them all in at the same time. Just fry them in like olive oil, add some lemon juice and some garlic, salt, and pepper, and that's it. It's very easy.
You know what's interesting is I never would put the lemon juice in with that and with my other recipe that I have, which is the asparagus. And I did one time, and it was night and day. It was so much better.
It is, and it doesn't taste lemony. Like you don't
No.
even know what it's in there. It adds just that extra flavor. And I always char them because that also will kind of caramelize everything, and it's super tasty.
That sounds really good. So Trader Joe's, we have a Trader Joe's. I don't know if you have one near you, but they sometimes will sell the asparagus on the stalk, like on the
Oh, yeah.
how it grows. And you just take this big stalk of little, Brussels sprouts sticking out home. And so I buy one every time they have it, every time it's in season and they have it. And make this mixture of like maple syrup and balsamic vinegar. And I can't remember, maybe it's lemon juice. And just kind of brush it on there and put it on the grill.
Oh,
And
that sounds amazing.
it does char, which is, I like it. And so it chars, but when you bite into that charred piece, it's like the inside is like butter. It's so delicious. It's
that
so
sounds
delicious.
good.
So I just like plop it down on the dinner table. I remember the first time I did it, and everybody was like, "What is that?" But I was like, "Just pull it off." And so we're like pulling off these little balls of Brussels sprouts, and they were delicious.
Oh, that sounds so yummy.
You'll have to try that recipe when you can, you see it.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I would think some grocery stores have them, but the balsamic and the maple syrup just caramelizes. It's really good.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Erin, so much for coming on the show. I
Oh,
loved
yes.
it, and I can't wait to dive into your book, and I'm going to keep reading your blog and just loving on it. I love all the beautiful, beautiful pictures of you and everything else that's on there. It's like eye candy. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Erin today. She is so lovely, and her website, Design for Mankind, is amazing. You must check it out today. Also, check out her book, Chasing Slow, and make sure you are following me on Instagram, because there's a strong chance that Erin and I will be doing a book giveaway, and you don't want to miss that. If you missed something that you wanted to jot down from this episode, no worries, because all of the information from this show will be in the show notes at CorrineSandifer.com. Please consider supporting Rising Stories podcast by purchasing books and products mentioned on this show with the link provided in the show notes. We are empowering each other as women to press on, to lean in, and to keep rising. Thanks so much for listening. Music is by Ben Sound, and this podcast has been sponsored by Brentwood Life Coach.